Welcome to Food News Today. It turns out that humans are not the only ones who need a jolt of caffeine. Who else enjoys the buzz? Bees. Researchers have recently discovered that caffeine is in the nectar of citrus plants, not just coffee plants. To figure out why it was there, they trained bees to link smells with either sugar water or sugar water laced with a low dose of caffeine. The result was that the bees who sipped the caffeine remembered the related scents 3 times more often after 24 hours than the bees that didn't get the jolt, and twice as often after 72 hours, meaning that they were much more likely to return to those flowers. Lars Chitka, a bee researcher at Queen Mary, University of London, reported that using a psychoactive drug to influence a pollinator's memory is a new trick in the book for plants. From freshly baked bread to coffee to cinnamon buns, everyone has their favorite smell. But are we responding to these aromas in a more complex way than we thought? Well, according to new research, absolutely. Scientists have recently discovered that cells in the heart, blood, and lungs have the same receptors for sensing aromas that exist in the nose. Scientists had believed that the nose had a monopoly on those receptors responsible for the smell of foods and other substances. But at a recent conference in New Orleans, research leader Dr. Peter Scheiberle said that our team recently discovered that blood cells, not only the cells in our nose, have odorant receptors. Surprisingly, there's growing evidence that also the heart, the lungs, and many other non-olfactory organs have these receptors. And once a food is eaten, its components move from the stomach into the bloodstream. So, does this mean that your heart really does love that fresh cinnamon bun you just ate? Unfortunately, the professor and his team don't know the answer to that one just yet. But certainly, there seems to be more to know about how we smell than just from our nose. Shakespeare, poet, playwright, the greatest writer in the English language, and now we could add another point to his bio: food hoarder. According to the researchers in the UK, the Bard of Avon was prosecuted for hoarding grain during a time of famine and then, get this, reselling it at inflated prices. Co-author of the study, Jane Archer, says that there's another side to Shakespeare besides that brilliant playwright. As a ruthless businessman who did all he could to avoid taxes, maximize profits at other expense, and exploit the vulnerable, while also writing plays about their plight to entertain them. Or maybe he just took his research very seriously? Now, let's not forget what he said in Coriolanus. They ne'er cared for us yet, suffer us to famish, and their storehouses crammed with grain. One man is doing his best to bring a softer side to South Central LA. Ron Finley, who grew up in the neighborhood that's best known for gangs and shootings, is now pushing locals to put down their weapons and start gardening. Finley co-founded the charity LA Green Grounds to cultivate fruit and vegetable gardens in vacant lots in deprived neighborhoods and help bring fresh produce to the areas with few healthy options otherwise. To quote Ron, "Gardening is gangsta because you're empowering yourself. Growing your own food is like printing your own money." Finally, while the fight for a soda ban continues on its bumpy road, we want to leave you with this humorous take on this very important issue from the week. They're celebrating a resounding victory over the nanny state. And all that he has to say, "In my personal freedom, I'm sitting on it." That's all for this week's edition of Food News Today. Don't forget to check out supermarketguru.com. Send me a message on Facebook or Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. Thanks for tuning in, and check us out next week.